Hi everyone, welcome another week to our Spanish live lessons. The topic for this week is going to be the present progressive. So we are going to learn how to talk about what you're doing at this present moment. But before starting with this lesson, we are going to wait for a few minutes for some more people to join us over Facebook or YouTube. As I always say, if you have any questions throughout the lesson, if there's something that is not clear, if you cannot understand my letter here on the whiteboard, you can leave your comments, and I'll make sure to be reading them throughout the lesson and answer any question you might have. Also, if you feel like practicing and also want to give us your examples using the tense that we are learning today, the present progressive, you are more than welcome to do so. So, I see that we have already some people joining us. So, Nasir and Frank, also Ali, Eric. ¿Cómo estás? Ha empezado la rainy season there. A good mixture of English and Spanish. Well, it's raining a bit, but still I think it hasn't come in full power. How could you say it? Cody also. Acabo de pedir sushi de Japón. So estoy bromeando. Sushi, I would love to have some. Mark also, Ohio gozaimasu, Rosa Sensei, also someone from Japan. Muriel, Leah, Dan, Arpit. I love in Spanish. Te quiero or te amo. Buenas noches, Kenroy, Tarel, Jeder Jacob from Philippines. Yahya, sorry if my pronunciation is not the good one. Thank you everyone for joining us. Also, we have Akimitsu Takeda, Kuka Junior, Nasser, sorry, from Jordan, and Sajida. So, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us during this live lesson. I hope that you're looking forward to study a bit of grammar today. The lesson we had last week, I don't know if you were here also, we talked about some gestures in Spanish. So it was a bit different from the one that we are doing today. Today we are focusing more on grammar, but of course it's also a really important lesson. So I hope that you're looking forward to that. So before starting with this week's lesson, I wanted to let you know that we have created PDF cheat sheets with vocabulary and useful phrases for a lot of different topics. You can have access to them clicking on the link on the description below and signing for a free lifetime account. So in that way, you can keep studying Spanish throughout all the week. You have no excuse. So I invite you to take a look at them. So as I mentioned, today we are gonna learn the present progressive tense. So in Spanish that would be presente continuo. Presente continuo. So if we translate it literally, present continuous. So that's the tense that we use to talk about something that we are doing at the moment. Something that is continuous. It's happening at the present and continuously. So I have good news. If you were here also for our present simple lesson, you might remember that in Spanish it's a bit complicated because we have regular and irregular verbs, and you need to know how to conjugate each of them. But as I said, I have good news for you. Since to conjugate in the present progressive tense, you just need to know how to conjugate the verb estar, that's the verb to be, in the present simple, and then add a gerund. And the gerund form of a verb is always formed in the same way. So in this case, you just need to really memorize the conjugation of the verb estar, to be. And we are going to review it today in case you don't remember from our past lessons. So yeah, don't worry. Like after this lesson, you'll be able to construct your own sentences in the present progressive tense in Spanish. So first of all, this is the how we construct sentences in the present progressive with all the elements. First, we have the subject. The subject, so the person that is doing the action. As we are going to see a bit later, because we have the verb conjugated, it's not really necessary to mention the subject, and we can omit them because already from the verb we can infer who is the subject of the action. So, as I mentioned, first we have the subject that we can leave or not. Then we have the present simple of the verb estar, which is an irregular verb. Then we have the gerund, and then we have the complements, complementos. There can be no complement. There can be 1, 2, 3, as many as you want. So one example following this would be the sentence yo, I, estoy. So that's the verb estar conjugated in the first person singular. Yo estoy estudiando. So that's the gerund of estudiar. Estudiar is the infinitive form of the verb to study. And then we can, or we don't need to, but we can add some complements. For example, español. So that's Spanish. Yo estoy estudiando español. I am studying Spanish. We can add another one. En mi casa. So at home. Yo estoy estudiando español en mi casa. So yeah, that's already a pretty complete sentence in Spanish. So yeah, just by knowing this present tense, you can already say quite a lot in Spanish. Well, as I mentioned, one of the most important parts is the conjugation of the verb to be, estar, in the present tense. So that's what we are gonna review today. It's very important that you memorize this conjugation well. It's, well, sadly enough, it's an irregular verb. That means that it doesn't follow all the rules that normally the verbs ending in AR follow, but still, because you are going to use it in a lot of sentences, I'm sure that just by practicing, you are going to be able to remember it well. So let's start with yo estoy. Yo estoy. That would be I am. Yo estoy. For example, yo estoy hablando español. Yo estoy hablando español. I am talking Spanish. Don't worry if you don't really understand the second part. We are gonna see it a bit later. But just so that you start listening to some examples and know how they are constructed. Then we have tú estás. Tú estás. That's you are. You are. So, for example, tú estás preparando la comida. Tú estás preparando la comida. You are preparing the food. Then, the next form is él está. Él está and ella está. Ella está. So that's he is, él está, and she is. Ella está. And for example, we could say, él está viendo la tele. Él está viendo la tele. He is watching the TV. Then we go to the plural forms. First we have nosotros estamos, nosotras estamos. So that is we are. In Spanish we distinguish between the masculine and the feminine. An example, nosotros estamos jugando a los videojuegos. Nosotros estamos jugando a los videojuegos. We are playing video games. Then the next form we have is vosotros estáis, vosotros estáis, vosotras estáis, vosotras estáis. So that's you are, but the plural form. As we mentioned in other lessons, we talked about verbs. This is the informal version of the plural of you are. Next we are gonna see what is the formal version. But first an example with this one. Vosotros estáis leyendo un libro. Vosotros estáis leyendo un libro. You are reading a book. Then, the next one, ustedes están. Ustedes están. So, you are, but in the formal form. And also wanted to mention that in some countries in Latin America, they also use this form, either if they are saying it formal or informally. So it depends a bit on the country. An example with this could be ustedes están hablando alto. Ustedes están hablando alto. So you are speaking loudly. Loud. And the last one, ellos están or ellas están. Ellas están. So this is they are. Again, we distinguish between the masculine and the feminine form. And an example would be ellos están comprando ropa. Ellos están comprando ropa. They are buying clothes. So this is the conjugation of the present simple tense of the verb to be. As I mentioned, it's very important. It's quite an important verb. So yeah, make sure you practice a lot using it, and just naturally, I'm sure that you are gonna start remembering it. Just as a quick note, we are not gonna really go over this, but I just wanted to mention that in some cases, also depending on the country, whether it's Spain or in a Latin American country, also these verbs are used conjugated in the present continuous tense. So not only estar, but also venir, to come, venir. So you could say, vengo trabajando en el póster. Vengo trabajando en el póster. Like, I'm working on the poster. But because it's to come, it gives a bit of the image that you have been doing this from some time ago in the past. Then we have the verb ir. Ir, to go. For example, voy leyendo este libro. Voy leyendo este libro. I am reading this book. Or the verb andar. Andar. which is to walk, but of course it doesn't have the meaning of physically walking. It just means that you are doing something continuously, as the other verbs do. So, ando preparando el festival. Ando preparando el festival. Like, I am preparing the festival. So, we are not really explain a lot more about these verbs, but just as a quick note, if you hear these verbs in a conversation, just know that they can also be used in a present continuous tense. So we've already covered the first part of how the present progressive tense is constructed in Spanish. And before going to the second part, how the gerund is constructed, I wanted to remind you that we have prepared tons of PDF cheat sheets divided by different topics. So it's quite easy if you're interested in a topic in particular to download that one and to practice it. You can either print it or carry it with you on your iPhone, iPad, the device you prefer to use. And I think it's also a good way to practice what we are learning today. For example, I have here leisure time activities. You have a lot of examples. For example, tocar un instrumento, play an instrument. So you could practice building sentences in the present progressive tense with all these examples. For example, estoy tocando un instrumento. Estoy tocando el piano, for example. I am playing the piano. So, you have tons of examples that you can use to study. For example, go to the park, ir al parque, estoy yendo al parque. Estoy yendo al parque. I'm going to the park. So to have access to all these PDF cheat sheets, all you have to do is click on the link on the description below and sign up for a free lifetime account, and you'll have access to all of them. So I invite you to do so and keep learning Spanish every day throughout all the week. So I don't know, seeing if there's any questions that you might have. Well, so we are continuing now with the second part. That's the formation of the gerund. As I don't know if you remember from our past lesson, we mentioned that we can divide Spanish verbs into three categories. Those whose infinitive form end in AR, are. Those that end in ER, or IR, ir. So also depending on what type of verb they are, it changes a little bit what we need to add to form the gerund form. So that's why we have divided them like this. First, we're gonna see the verbs ending in AR, are verbs. So what we need to do to form the gerund is to take out the AR and to add ando. 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 So here we have some examples of that. For example, hablar. Hablar. That's to speak. Hablar. So what we need to do is take out the AR and then add ando. So the gerund form is hablando. Hablando. For example, yo estoy hablando en inglés. Yo estoy hablando en inglés. I am talking in English, for example. Hablando. Then another example is the verb estudiar. Estudiar. That's another AR verb. What we need to do to form the gerund, it means study, by the way, is take out the AR and add again ando. So the gerund form is estudiando. Estudiando. Estoy estudiando matemáticas. I'm studying maths. Estoy estudiando matemáticas, for example. Then we have the verbs that end in er and ir, and ir. In this case, it's easy because both of them, what you need to do is take out either er or ir and add yendo. So I-E-N-D-O, yendo, for both of them. So that's a bit easier. So we have some examples here. First, with er verbs. For example, comer, that's to eat. Again, we take out the er and add yendo, comiendo. So, eating. Yo estoy comiendo carne. I'm eating meat. For example, beber, to drink. Take out the er and add yendo, bebiendo. Estoy bebiendo agua. I am drinking water, bebiendo. And then we have a bit of a special case. It's leer. That's to read. But the thing here is that if we take out the er and add yendo, the form, I don't know if you can see it there, could be this right one, right? Like L-E-I. But that's not very natural in Spanish to have those three vowels together. So instead of that, the correct form is leyendo with Y, with a Y instead of an I. Leyendo. So that's the gerund. Now we are going to see some verbs, ir. So again, we take out the IR and add yendo. So, escribir, to write. Escribir. Take out IR, add yendo. Escribiendo. Estoy escribiendo un libro. I'm writing a book. Then we have another example here, vivir. We take out IR and add yendo. Viviendo. Estoy viviendo en Granada. I am living in Granada, for example. So you see that it's quite easy to form the present progressive tense, right? Like now you know we have covered how to conjugate in present simple the verb to be, estar, and you know now how to form the gerund forms of any verb. Whether they end in AR, ER, or IR. So yeah, I hope that you think that that's easy enough. I don't know if you have any question. As I mentioned, any comment that you might have, leave a comment, and I'll make sure to take a look at them. So Frank before asked, ¿cuál es la diferencia entre hablando and hablado? So yeah, what's the difference between hablando and hablado? So hablando, as we have studied now, is the gerund form. It's a continuous form. Hablado is the participle form, and hablado means that something has been done in the past and is already finished. So hablando, the gerund, is used for something that is continually happening. Hablado is something that has finished in the past. So I hope that answers the question. So yeah, now that we've seen how to form this tense, we are going to practice a little bit. We are going to give some examples with these verbs. If you want to tell us what you're doing at the moment, if you want to try and like build your own sentences in Spanish using the present progressive tense, like don't hesitate to do so and leave your comments. As I mentioned, we're gonna give you 3 examples with the verb hablar. Hablar. So hablar, to speak, to talk. Hablar. Yo estoy hablando español. Yo estoy hablando español. I am talking in Spanish. I am speaking Spanish. Then we have él. Él está hablando inglés. Él está hablando inglés. He is speaking in English. Él está hablando inglés. The last example with hablar. Nosotros estamos hablando por internet. Nosotros estamos hablando por internet. We are talking through the internet or on the internet, I guess. Now, some examples with comer. So, well, you can see that here we have an example of an AR verb. Now we are going for an example with a verb, an ER verb, comer. Comer is to eat. So, one example is estoy comiendo ensalada. Estoy comiendo ensalada. I'm eating salad. Another example, él está comiendo con su familia. Él está comiendo con su familia. He's eating with his family. He's eating with his family. And then, estamos comiendo en un restaurante. Estamos comiendo en un restaurante. We are eating in a restaurant. And I just want to remind you, as I mentioned before, that we sometimes omit the subject, but just because from the verb form we already know that we are referring to the first person of the plural, nosotros. So that's why we can omit the subject. Now we are gonna see some examples with vivir. Vivir. Vivir is to live. So, vivo en Madrid. Vivo en Madrid. I live in Madrid. Again, the subject is omitted here. The second example, ella vive en Barcelona. Ella vive en Barcelona. She lives in Barcelona. She lives in Barcelona. Now, ellos viven en Estados Unidos. I'm just realizing that this is not really the present continuous. So it could be estoy, sorry for that, that was a lapsus. Estoy viviendo could be the correct way to say it in the present progressive tense. Then, ella vive would be ella está viviendo en Barcelona. And the last one, ellos están viviendo en Estados Unidos desde hace 2 años. They are living in the United States since 2 years ago. I don't know if that's the correct. So, yeah, sorry for that. I didn't notice until now. That's the present progressive tense. So we have Eric saying, estoy viviendo en Estonia. Estoy viviendo en Estonia. So, thank you very much for the example. So we have finished like these practice sentences. And before leaving you all and finishing this lesson, I wanted to remind you that we have prepared all these PDF cheat sheets about tons of different topics. You have here, for example, leisure time activities. I talked a bit earlier about that. Business Spanish, around town, like tons of different topics. It tapas like a champ. So you can click on the link on the description below and sign up for a free lifetime account and have access to all of this. As I mentioned, you can print them out. You can take them with you on your iPhone, iPad, and keep studying Spanish every day for the whole week. So in that way, I'm sure that you're gonna get better a lot quicker. So yeah, I hope that you enjoyed today's lesson and that you understood a bit better how to form the present progressive tense. I hope to see you here also next week. We are going to learn how to learn Spanish on your own. So we are going to teach you how to use the site Spanish Pod 101. So I hope you're looking forward to that. That will be the 23rd of May. So thank you everyone very much for joining me today here on this lesson. Yeah, see you next week, I hope. Hasta luego. See you.